to keep hoping you're going to get like the mom roles that are more interesting than when you were in your 20s and you were playing sort of the love interest or whatever.
So it doesn't bother you?
Well, I mean, yeah, it bothers me, but there's not much you can really do about it except, keep going and just hope you get more interesting. I find the roles keep getting more interesting as you get to play moms, and they get more complicated, the roles.
Okay, well, this is a two-sided question.
There seems to also be a lot of themes of divorcees.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
And second marriages.
And you could be a cougar.
A cougar
Yes,
or just a mom of a 20-year-old kid,
No, I don't think you could be a mom of a 20-year-old yet. Not yet.
Okay.
But you can, if you keep aging,
I'll keep aging.
It depends which part of the country the story takes place.
The reason I ask that is it still goes back to this thing about Maggie Gyllenhaal is 37 and was turned down for a role to play the love interest of a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
What is wrong with Hollywood?
Well, clearly the man wants like 21.
Yeah, well, most guys that are single, they don't want to be with women that are their age.
It was funny. I have a good friend. She's 70, and she was filling out her profile, and she wanted to knock off 10 years. I said, well, why would you do that? She said, well, because men like younger women. I said, yes, but they like 40 years younger women.
Yeah, not like a few years younger. Yeah.
But I can tell you how powerful it is to knock off 10 years, because that's how I got to work. Okay. This is a question that I always have to ask actresses because I don't have the courage to do it. What are auditions like?
I love auditions, Reba. I love them. I love going into a room and meeting people. It's one of my favorite activities. And I think as an actress, you really have to like it, because if you don't like it, it'll show through and you probably won't book any jobs. I really love meeting new people. So for me, it's a fun thing, auditioning. And I teach it. I teach people how to audition.
Okay, so here's the other side. How do you deal with rejection? And I asked this of Nathalie, too, because I think that's also a part of your business.
I have to say that I'm not going to say I haven't been rejected a lot, but I haven't really had a lot of rejection in my career. I've had a lot of people liking me and saying, well, if you don't get this, you'll get something else with us.
And did it?
Yes. I haven't
You mean you haven't gotten the liars?
Of course, I haven't gotten every job, but I mean, I've maybe won every... I've had a lot of, what's the word? I haven't had a lot of like rejection in my life. That's why I keep going, because every time I audition, I've had a lot of people just say, hey, we really want to work with you.
Well, I think somebody really wants to work with you. I heard that there might be a moment where you could reveal that something exciting is happening to Maggie Wagner.
Yeah, I will.
Are you going to tell us, or are you going to make us beg?
Okay, you can ask.
What's happening?
Okay. Okay, well, this week...
I feel like I'm in a Christopher Guest movie.
I know. This week, I've been nominated with the cast of the film, that clip that you just saw, for Best Cast in a Film at the Los Angeles Independent Film Festival. And the awards are on Saturday. So if you want to come be my guest, come with me, Reba. And I did a film this summer that's kind of a secret project with, I'm going to say who's in it, but I'm not going to say anything about it. I will say Holly Hunter's in it. And I'm in the film, and it's going to be really, really great picture. But can't talk too much about it right now. And I did another film this summer in New York called American Fango. It sounds really weird, but this Italian director from Rome came, and he picked me to be in it, so...
Can I go back to your past and ask if you can remember what your first big break was? Was it for The Boys, or
no?
What was it?
My first big break was I would say Anna, the film with Sally Kirkland, was really the first movie I did. That was my first big Screen Actors Guild film, where I had to join SAG, and I was sort of kicked off my acting career. A lot of people saw me in it, and I got about 5 movies as a result of that movie, and got my SAG card. But even before Anna, I had been auditioning in New York, and I got into a play that was really the first indication that I was going to beat the odds, which was a play called To Jillian on Her 37th Birthday.
I love that. I love the film.
I was great, and I played Cindy, which was like the friend of the lead, and I beat out almost everyone in New York, every young actress in New York for this equity play, and.
You're going to be famous. I will never be famous. That's why my book is called Nearly Famous. Because when I did all those movie star interviews, I was the only one in the room who wasn't famous.
But you were infamous.
I slept with a lot of men. That's why I always ask these questions.
Of course. Who hasn't?
I haven't.
Well, thank God Ben hasn't.
But now I forgot where I was going. I was going to ask her who she
That's my
slept
goal
with.
every week. See if I can fluster Reba.
Is this a kiss and tell interview?
No, I would never.
Oh, she told it all. Believe me. Just read her book.
No, it wasn't a kiss and tell. I really was going. I don't know
I think
where I
it's
was.
part- I
If
think-
you go to her
I
house in
think
the
that's
guest
part of-
bathroom, there's like a nude painting of her from a while back that she's very proud to make sure that you notice.
Oh, I get it. The nude.
I lived in London, and everybody in London was doing that. So I did it. And I was in my 30s, so I looked good. So why, if you got it, flaunt it. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I forgot the question I was going to ask.
You were talking about like the casting couch in Hollywood.
Yeah, did you have that?
Well, I think everybody when you're 20s and 30s is going to get that. Yeah, and of course, I had many people hitting on me and directors and producers, and of course, I had that. Yes, and you just kind of play it. You kind of go with it, and you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But I wouldn't. I would. My advice would be to just. Just be don't be rude to anyone, and if you're not married, you're still available, and maybe they are too.
Well, on that note, keep your
I'm
knickers.
going to take. Wait a minute. I'm going to learn a lesson.
I know,
from
just
her.
a moment. Well, keep your knickers on. We've got to go to a commercial break before we come back with both of them. We're gonna bring back Nathalie and Maggie together, and we can talk all about couches and.
Yes, because we're
everything
going to open with a statement from Bruce Willis when I interviewed him.
Well, this is quite a conundrum. So, on that note, we'd again like to thank Wagner Family of Wines and roveliving.com.
And toast you wonderful women. We'll be back.
Conundrum has been turning winemaking on its head for 25 years. Conundrum White is the original white wine blend from California. Pair this exotic, versatile wine with everything from Asian cuisine to tacos. Conundrum Red is rich, full-flavored, and balanced, the perfect complement to dishes like pasta pomodoro, fajitas, and barbecue. You'll find Conundrum Red and White wines at your favorite restaurants, wine shops, or supermarket. Go to WagnerFamilyOfWine.com. Again, that's WagnerFamilyOfWine.com. Find your wine, find your adventure.
Rove knows you're always on the go, so we make it easy to have the most basic luxuries at your fingertips no matter where you are. At home watching a movie, working out at the gym, or running around town. Yes, we are talking about having hot coffee and cold water available on demand. Rove makes everything better. Check out roveliving.com. That's R-O-V-E living.com. Rove, make life better.
Nearly Famous Tales from the Hollywood Trenches is Reba Merrill's intriguing look at hidden Hollywood. Find out what movie stars are really like in this behind-the-scenes Hollywood tell-all. The story of Reba's extraordinary life interwoven with an insider's look at achieving fame and success in the entertainment industry. A must-read. Buy Nearly Famous Tales from the Hollywood Trenches at rebamerrill.com, amazon.com, or ask for it at fine bookstores. Nearly Famous Tales from the Hollywood Trenches. You'll love it.
Well, very early in my career, and kind of early in Bruce Willis's career, because I don't think he had done Die Hard yet. He did a film called Sunset where he plays a very famous Western movie star, and this interview takes place. We're upstairs because down below we're at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, and this is the first Academy Awards, and so he was dressed in tux, and I asked him a question about the fear of failing. And here's his answer, and then we'll talk about it.
When you play and you think you're funny and you're playing to dead silence, what do you feel inside? Do you feel as dead as that silence, or do you
It's very scary. It's very scary. You have to overcome that. You have to start making yourself laugh and, pull it back in for a minute and try and entertain yourself, and hopefully you'll get out of whatever that is. Sometimes you just die, and it happens to everyone.
Looks fuller than
Yeah. Well, he doesn't. So, I guess I'm going to take the answer first. One of the things that just about did me in Hollywood was this awful fear that I was going to fail. I was the flavor of the month. I was working for everybody. I was doing exactly what I wanted to do, which were movie star interviews, and what was hanging over my head that I was going to fail, and they were going to find out that I wasn't good, and all of this was going to go away. Now, both of you have careers. Does failure enter in? And we'll start with Nathalie. Does failure enter into your career, that you might fail?
Of course, sometimes you try not to think about it, but of course. And you think, like, what am I going to do then, if I do fail?
And what are you going to do if you do? Do you
I
have
don't
a
know.
Nobody has a backup plan in
No.
Hollywood.
No, no. I can't fail because I don't have a backup plan. So, yeah.
I think I'm so old now that it's obvious that, I haven't sort of failed. So I've already done a lot of things. So now I just feel like, well, I've proven again and again that I have, what it takes to do it. And I don't feel like I'll ever be a failure.
Whew. I'm getting all these lessons thrown back at me. I know one of the things, did either one of you ever want to give up? I never wanted to give up. Even when I was making mistakes and screwing up. I didn't deliberately
Not a
screw up.
Freudian slip.
Don't do this. I never wanted to give up. But did either one of you ever want to give up? Did it ever get so bad? You're in the toughest business in the world. It isn't just your looks. It's everything. You have to look good. You can't get old. You have to be in the right place at the right time. Did anybody tell you how tough it is to be an actress?
Yes.
Nathalie.
Yeah, I've never wanted to give up, but you have had bad days, and you had to figure out how to move on from that. And that's, yeah.
Well, and after this pep talk,
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I agree with Nathalie. It's just like I've had really bad days where I'm like, I can't do this. I can't keep going. But then something happens on the next day in LA or wherever I am that it's like, oh, I can do this. They do want me to be in this movie. And, you do have ups and downs. I don't know what to say.
Okay.
I actually had great advice from a mentor years ago. He said, you can quit as often as you want. Just make sure you rehire yourself the next day.
Oh, that's a great.
That's a
I was
good-
wondering.
That's a good line.
Did either one of you get some really great advice about the career you chose? No?
My uncle, said, this is the best advice I will give all the actors listening to this, is just to keep studying and to keep learning as much as you can. And I became a member of the Actor Studio, a lifetime member, and that's totally, changed my life. And I have never, since I've been a member, I've never really failed again at an audition.
I got to ask this question. Did anybody ever give you bad advice that got you into trouble? And I don't mean trouble with the law, but just made life really miserable because you followed somebody's advice?
No.
No.
They're perfect in Sweden. I don't know if you understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, when I first started acting, I was in New York, and I had a lot of agents say to me, you don't even do this business. You're brunette. You're very ethnic. You're never going to make it. You're everything's against you.
So why didn't you stop right then and there?
Well, then, like the next day, I would go read for some role, and people would be like, "Wow, you're incredible." And so I thought, okay, wait a minute, maybe I can do this. So.
It's also a unique thing. I was not on the acting side myself. But for everybody who says you have to be young, you have to be blonde, you have to do all these things, you flip on your TV or go to a movie, and you notice that there's
People that
characters of all people,
Yeah.
ethnicities, ages, sizes.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten more like people. It's more open than it used to be to people that are not typically blonde, beautiful blonde.
We're not holding that against
Not
you.
that or not typical Hollywood.
No, if you have it. But I remember like a friend of mine ran a modeling agency in Utah, and she had a girl come in who was, I think, 4'11", who dreamed of being a runway model. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Look, honey, I'm sorry, that's just not going to be possible." And she was like, "How dare you shatter my dreams?" She's like, "I'm not shattering your dreams. You're not 5'10". You could be a print model." But I think that's, as an actor, some of it maybe coming with advice or maturity is learning to embrace what assets you do have and not try to be what's truly impossible.
Okay. What's the best part? This is an upbeat question. What's the
goodness.
best part of being an actress?
I think getting to
No,
getting to be in these worlds that you would never normally, do. Like I have more exciting experiences acting that I've ever had in my real life. I've been killed and tortured in many ways, and I've got to fly in a helicopter, and I've gotten to do things I never could do in my real life. So it's kind of an adventure.
Yeah, and you meet a lot of people, you learn a lot of things about people, about yourself, about the world. You get to tell stories, and yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the flip side. What's the worst part about being an actor? I want to know.
Yeah, I think the worst part is that, like what you were saying, it's just fighting the ageism of Hollywood and just feeling like you have to always be beautiful and always, keep yourself it's a lot of work, it's going to the gym 2 hours a day. I wouldn't say that's the worst part, but there's a lot more to it than just, there's a lot of work.
Well, life is always happening. Do you find it's better to embrace what's going on in your life and bring it into your character, or to leave it at the door?
No, bring it in.
Yeah. I like my dad passed away recently, and that really just brought this incredible sadness into my life, and I could totally I got so it got me so connected and to my sadness, and helped me in some ways as an actress, because the minute that happened to me, I just it didn't matter anymore, really.
Could you cry easier?
Yeah, I mean, you just get everything is so sad after that happens that it's like, whatever, really, you don't like me? Okay. Like, who cares?
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because I said this on the show last week or the week before, that it really took me close to 80 to get to the point, who cares? I spent so much time in Hollywood worrying about what people thought of me and trying to walk like on eggshells, so that after my fiasco at Universal, I really did learn a very, very big lesson to keep my mouth shut for the most part. It's very difficult for me to keep my mouth shut because I have a big mouth. And I really, this is terrible to say, I really thought I knew something about how to market movies, and the studios don't want to hear it. Until now that it's all over, they acknowledge that I came up with a very clever way to market movies, but now who cares? I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks of me, but man, I did, and it's draining. So I'm going to ask you, to Nathalie, what's the worst part about being an actress? The gym, the being on. She puts the most gorgeous shoes on for the interview. I figured that was symbolic of what it is to be an actress.
Yeah. The worst part is that you never know when you're going to work next time, I think. Yeah.
That's true. That's a good one. Yeah.
And what do you do to keep going?
Just trying to motivate myself, spend time with my friends.
Well, let's ask a really, really terrible question. What do you do for money when you're not working? Or do you put yourself, I was going to say on a diet. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean a diet. I meant, do you put yourself on a budget? Yeah. You can see how I think. Yeah. Put yourself on a budget so that for those down days, you survive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just take part-time jobs, do other jobs,
Have you taken part-time jobs?
No,
you haven't.
I can't.
Have you?
Yeah, I mean, I've done I teach acting, I coach people, I do other things besides just acting, for money.
Would you be happy if you were cast in a TV series and got to go to work every day?
Yeah,
or is it
course.
film?
No, I would love to be on a TV. In fact, I was on a TV series on ABC last summer called Manhattan Love Story, but it got canceled. So unfortunately,
before or after you were on it?
I was on it. I was playing like a deaf girl. And I thought it was going to be something great, and then it just ended up they cut the cord on that show. So yeah, I love the idea of going to the same set and being the same character and living in that character and learning, and yeah, who wouldn't want a steady job?
Yeah. Well, Nathalie, you've done both. Mm-hmm. Do you have a preference? Do you like the security of a television series as opposed to the excitement of starring in a film?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like both ways. I mean, of course, it's good to have the security, but if you don't know what's going to happen, anything can happen as well. So,
Well, I looked at the clip from, I'm going to say the name of her movie right.
Miss Julie.
Thank you. It's very glamorous. So
Isn't it?
take us, just say, because this is a Swedish movie, so maybe it's different than a Hollywood film. And how much do they fuss over you when you're making this film? I mean, the clothes were gorgeous, even the shoes. If you have a shoe scene.
Not a lot. No, it's
Not
not
a-
like Hollywood. No.
Did you have a lot of costume fittings and they just find a dress, they put it on you, and that's it?
No, I had some fittings, and they were made for me. So
Did you get to keep them?
no, I mean I got some things, but not the dress.
Did you get the shoes?
No, not the
I'm sorry, it was
shoes.
just a joke.
It's funny.
It's okay. But speaking of clips, Reba, we're going to give one more thanks to our sponsors and shout out. And then I think you have a special clip that you want to show.
I did.
We already showed it?
Yep. Where were
Alright.
you?
I was here. Well, I'm just looking on to make sure we get everything in. So I'd say that at this point we've probably got time for one more question.
And you're going to ask it? No, you're going to dump it on me.
I don't know. Actually, yeah, that there's been obviously you love to ask everybody about failing.
I didn't ask you.
I know.
Excuse me,
No,
ladies. Let me ask him about failing.
No, we don't need to
No,
talk about that.
yes, we've all talked about it.
No, what I wanted to say is there was a great book that someone gave me once called Failing Forward. And I think that's an idea, and maybe you can talk about that it's only a failure if you let it stop you. But we all make mistakes. We all have
but
failures
there's a
every day,
difference
but you
between
move forward.
stopping you and beating you up.
Well,
'Cause
even
I
if it
was
beats you
beaten
up, you can still use it to move forward. And I think that was always, I think it's confidence. That's what I hear from these ladies. That's what I always had was I knew what I was capable of. You knew what you were capable of. So even if there was roadblocks, it just was an obstacle. It wasn't a failure unless I let it take me out of the game.
Well, it didn't take me out of the game, but I have to tell you, it really questioned who I was. And it was interesting what you said, because the biggest change in my life really came after my mother died from cancer. So she died young. And I just about lost my business because I had made up my mind that I really wanted to be with my mother in the last 6 months of her life. And she lived in another state. And I went there every 3 weeks to see her. And because I was the company, there wasn't like a lot of people worked for me, but I was the one that did the interviews. I'm going to end this. I didn't mean to. I just about lost my business, and I really was close to not so much giving up, but I couldn't get anybody to want me. And as actresses, somebody's got to want you.
I know. That's the problem. They have to hire you. But
Or you make your own projects.
Yeah.
Write your own movie.
She's
Exactly.
writing her
She's
own
writing-
script. I love it.
I think
You're
that's great.
taking your own hands. But so unfortunately, we're going to have you back as your
Yes.
careers
oh my
advance.
God, you guys
Oh,
are
I-
wonderful.
Thank.
And who are we talking to next week?
Oh
Reba?
my goodness! Oh, this is going to be interesting. Next week we're going to have a guy. We're going to have on two directors. Well, a writer and a director. I like those kind of people. We have a writer on who wrote one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I did two of those. Okay, I did the two biggest ones, of course. And we're going to have Wesley Strict and Alex Brand, and I'm really excited. Pick them both up myself.
Great.
Like I wanted them.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Everybody can watch this show and others from the past at realhollywoodlive.com. And we'll see you next Tuesday on ubnradio.com, Channel 1, at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, thank you to our sponsors.
No, and drink a toast to these lovely ladies and to you. I really like you. Maggie,
I
Natalie,
like you too.
thank you
you.
so
Thank
much
you.
for joining
so
us.
much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Real Hollywood Live with Ben and Reba.